All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Solution Spotlight. I'm going to give it about a minute to kind of let people start trickling in. But in the meantime, I would like to take a minute to kind of promote a few of our upcoming events with XYPN, including our upcoming webinars, Scale Your Practice While Working Less, the Systems and Processes Framework. And then also be sure to join us at XYPN Live 2025 in Austin, Texas, September 25th through the 27th. And I will be putting those registration links in the chat. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get us started. So again, welcome everybody. For today's Solution Spotlight, the 401k Blueprint, turning retirement plans into a flywheel with Betterment Advisor Solutions, Wealthbox, and Elements. Joining us today is Andrew Damsevsky with AJD Wealth Management and Spencer Rose with Christensen Group Financial. Abby Morton with Elements, Allison Considine with Betterment Advisor Solutions, and Chris Kapansky with Wealthbox. Today, we are going to hear about how Andrew and Spencer's growing firms help their clients to be the hero for their employees by providing an intuitive and easy 401k experience through Betterment and a scalable financial wellness program using Elements. And then we will see how they leverage Wealthbox to make managing participant meetings and nurturing opportunities a cinch. In today's agenda, we will hear from both Andrew and Spencer, and then we will see demos from both Element, Betterment Advisor Solutions, and Wealthbox. As a reminder, we will be doing a Q&A section of the webinar at the end for questions. If you do have a question, please feel free to put that into the Q&A feature at the bottom of the Zoom. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Andrew to get us started.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Andrew Damsevsky. I am the founder of AJD Wealth Management. And today we are going to talk about offering 401k plans to your business owner clients. So specifically looking at kind of the what, the why, the how, and then how does Betterment Advisor Solutions help and how does Wealthbox help in this journey? So kind of starting the what, pretty obvious, it's why we're all here today, is, we want to look at how can we serve business owners who may already have a 401k plan, or maybe they don't. Maybe they've been our client, it's never been brought up just because we haven't been sure about how to do so. Or maybe they are a brand new client and their old advisor is still servicing their old plan. It doesn't matter, again, whether they have a plan or not. There's an opportunity there that we can explore. This is applicable for both business owners with employees as well as solo operators. So solo 401ks are extremely popular, and now they're super easy to set up. So if you're working with business owners that don't have any employees, the solo 401k conversation is definitely one that you should be having. But today we're going to more focus on those with a team around them. So again, to the what is, we are looking to offer a better experience for you, the advisor, the plan sponsor, which is the business owner, and the participants, right? So these business owners, they want to make sure that it's a good experience for their team. So that is what we're looking to accomplish here. There's a couple of screenshots down below. The one on the left is kind of the advisor dashboard for your 401k business. So you can see you would have a list of the plans that you manage there, the assets that you're managing in the 401k plans, and then you can see your projected revenue as well. So it's a really clean dashboard for you, the advisor, to be able to manage the plans that you're the plans that you're working with. The screenshot to the right, again, speaks to that better experience for the owner and the participants. Setting a contribution rate is extremely clean and extremely easy. So whether you're setting a dollar amount or a percentage, extremely easy. So no more trying to kind of play the math game. All right, they have an odd salary, but they want to max out the plan, but they don't want to do it too early. How do we do that? It is extremely easy by being able to just enter a dollar amount. So getting into why are we doing this? Why are we interested in offering 401ks to our business owner clients? Uh, the big ones up top are these clients, their needs are complex and things are always changing for business owners. Um, and as business owners, they're looking for opportunities to do things better and more efficiently. So whether it's making that decision of should I switch to an S corp, should I not? How can I maximize the deductions that are available to me? They're always looking at how can we do things better and more efficiently. And then ideally, the business owners that we work with, they care about their team. They care about the employees that they have. They want them to thrive and do well in life. And kind of the last 3 points here are the big ones. So the business owners, they want to be saving for retirement, and they should be saving for retirement. Um, and then every business owner I've met, they all want to pay less in taxes, right? On top of their income tax, and then they've got self-employment tax. They feel like they pay a ton, and they are. So they are definitely looking for ways to lower their tax bill. And then last but certainly not least, this is a great additional revenue stream for your business. So how are we doing this? We're doing this with a bundled 401k solution from Betterment Advisor Solutions. So it's bundled, meaning the investment management's done, the compliance is done, the record keeping is done. There's a portal. It's a one-stop shop for the 401k. For the investment options for the participants, professionally managed portfolios are available to all of the participants. That is such a big benefit that's not talked about enough. What we're able to do is take the investment decision making off of the shoulders of people who are frankly not investment professionals. So I've worked with a 401k plan in the past. It was an architecture firm. The employees there are not investment pros. They're not sure how to invest their 401k dollars. They're either going to look at what did the best last year or what fund has a name that they like the most. So by having professionally managed portfolios available to the participants is a really big win for everyone involved. And then lastly, we're able to keep business owners organized and excited to save and to save more. And we really leverage WealthBox to help us do that. So diving in a little bit more into Betterment Advisor Solutions and how they help. So what we're looking at is Betterment's fully bundled 401k offering. So what is included here is the Betterment client portal. So your business owner client or the plan sponsor, they are going to have their own plan sponsor dashboard where they can view all of the participants. They can view all of the plan documents. They can view any tasks that they need to complete relative to the plan. And then all of the participants are going to have a Betterment client portal, which is a really easy to use, very user-friendly investment management portal. So that's a really big pickup when compared to some of the legacy custodians. Again, professionally managed portfolios are made available to all of the participants. The QDIA is a globally diversified, low-cost portfolio. It's not just a target date fund. And I think that's a really big win for participants. Also within the offering, compliance and record keeping, all done in-house. So not needing to go outside and get a separate TPA to help with the plan and then have a separate advisor. Everything is done in-house. It's a one-stop shop, which makes it really, really easy for the business owner, and that's something that they really value. Lastly, these plans are extremely flexible and customizable. So whether you want to have a safe harbor or if the business owner wants to come up with their own matching scheme, They are able to, and they're also able to add profit sharing contributions to these plans. So total customization with these plans makes it really nice, especially when you're looking at transferring an existing plan. If the owner says, hey, we already have a plan, it's working well, we want to keep it all the same, but we want to move it to this, fully bundled platform, you have that ability to have that customized plan. Looking at the investment options, again, professionally managed portfolios by Betterment are available to the participants, but the participants also have the ability to create their own allocations. So they do have flexible portfolios. Maybe a participant says, hey, I want to go 100% US large cap. They're able to do that. They're able to make that decision. And then asset location and rebalancing is included. So that's something that's very exciting for these plans is the automatic rebalancing that's done for the clients. Instead of having to maybe set a notification when the portfolio needs rebalancing, it is just done automatically. And then here, a really big benefit is Betterment can be the 338 fiduciary on the plans. They don't have to be. You, the advisor, you can be the 338. But it is an option for Betterment to be the 338, which is a really big benefit. Continuing with Betterment Advisor Solutions are just extremely transparent fees. So there's a flat annual compliance fee. So there's, again, no need to go and hire an outside TPA. The record keeping is just a monthly per participant fee. And then there's a very competitive asset-based fee. And then you're able to layer your asset-based fee on top of that. So off to the right, there is an example of a proposal that I put in front of a client. So up top, you can see their base compliance fee and the record keeping fee. So that would be paid in this scenario. This would be paid by the employer, by the business owner. And then down below, you can see the asset-based fee of 15 basis points. And then I layered 65 basis points on top of that. So their total all-in asset-based fee is at 80 basis points, which is extremely competitive for a 401k with a financial advisor on it. The platform has payroll integrations. So if the business owner is using a firm like Gusto or ADP, they have 360 integrations, and there's a long list of firms that Betterment integrates with. But that makes it really easy whenever a participant changes their contribution rate or they switch from traditional to Roth. Those changes automatically flow through to payroll, and the amounts that they need to be contributed to their account, it all happens automatically. So those 360 integrations are fantastic. Now, there are still options for manual payroll uploads. So I work with a client who does not work with a payroll provider that integrates. So he has his payroll person just upload the payrolls each pay period. It's an option, and it's pretty easy to do, which is great. And then lastly, from a tax perspective, the Form 5500, there is preparation for those forms by Betterment Advisor Solutions, which again makes everything very, very easy for the business owner. So the last point I want to make here for Betterment Advisor Solutions is just the support. So you're going to have a dedicated account rep for you and your plan sponsor. They're able to run plan proposals for new opportunities. And then there's phone and email support for the participants if they ever have questions. And then ultimately, you're the advisor on the plan as well. So the participants and the owner, of course, have access to you, the advisor. I did want to, again, just touch on the support. I talk to my dedicated support rep all the time, and we have a great relationship, and he's super helpful. He gets back to me very fast. I can always set time with him for us to chat about questions that my clients have, or just questions on timing of if there's certain components to the plan that the plan sponsors are working through. The support is next level, and that is one of the things that I heard most from business owners that have plans with other kind of legacy custodians is every time they have a question, they talk to someone new. They're not sure what's required of them. They feel like they get different answers every time they call in. Half the people they talk to know what they're talking about, the other half don't. It is so nice to be able to have that support centralized and work with a competent team. So the support side, I can't speak highly enough of. It's been a really big win for my clients. So next, moving into Wealthbox and how they support our journey with serving business owners is Wealthbox is a CRM. It's going to help us keep track of our clients, but then if used properly, it's going to allow us to be proactive and deliver a really good experience. So Wealthbox is going to help keep our notes organized and time stamped. And then every time I'm meeting with a plan sponsor or a plan participant, I'm keeping track of those notes. And again, it's organized and time stamped. So a couple real world examples of how I use Wealthbox. First is kind of investment committee and just plan review meetings. So I meet with the plan sponsors at least twice a year to discuss their 401k plan. So we do this to help satisfy DOL compliance. So when we're talking about the plan, we're talking about the plan design. Does it still work for the company? We're talking about the contributions. Are they being made on time, or will there be some corrective action that's needed? We're talking about the investments that are being used and just the stock market as a whole. And then lastly, those Form 5500s and just general compliance. Is everything being completed on time? So Wealthbox allows me to keep track of those meeting minutes for that investment committee to keep these 401ks in compliance. And then lastly, I use Wealthbox to help me be proactive with my business owner clients. So I love tags for my CRM. That's how I kind of have it organized. So my clients who have a 401k that I'm the advisor on, they are tagged with a 401k plan sponsor tag in Wealthbox. And then if they've expressed interest in making profit sharing contributions, they get a profit sharing tag. And then I'm running tasks in Wealthbox that say, hey, Andrew, it's December. Reach out to everyone that has 401k plan sponsored as a tag and just let them know, hey, compliance testing starts in January. Let's get prepared for it. And just that small act there is a huge value add because it feels like it comes as a surprise each year. But letting them know that it's coming, letting them know what they need to do to be prepared for it is a really big value add. It's something that my business owner clients really appreciate. And then same story with the profit sharing tag. In December, we're getting together to talk about, hey, how did the business do this year? How are taxes looking? Do we want to contribute more to the 401k? And if they're feeling, yes, I do want to do that, then we're looping in the Betterment Advisor Solutions compliance team when they're doing testing to say, hey, we want to make a profit sharing contribution. Let us know what we can do. And then they're able to get that information back to us and the clients can make their profit sharing contributions. So it's just a really great solution for managing 401ks. And I'm now going to kick it over to Spencer.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. So as he passes the baton to me, Andrew's made a really compelling case for why using Betterment as your 401k platform to provide a service to your business owner clients, right? And I'm going to talk about that indirectly, but really what I want to focus on is now you're working with a 401k plan. How do you engage the employees, right? How do you work with those individuals on a one-on-one or a group education capacity, which is quite a bit different than how most of you engage with your financial planning clients. So our DNA at Christensen Group Financial is on the 401k advisory side. You know, we run 250 retirement plans. We work with over 20,000 individual participants within our book of business. So we have a lot of these conversations. And the way that you engage 401k plan participants is a bit different. So Andrew hit on some of these points. What we hear time and time again, why advisors would avoid working with a 401k plan. And all of these are true. I don't have time. I'm already stretched thin. I don't want to take on another responsibility, especially considering I'm not a 401k specialist, right? I'm in the financial planning arm. I know that I have these clients that have retirement plans, but this is not the sandbox I play in. I don't want to go there. Maybe it's that the individual employees, they're not actually your clients, right? So why offer my valuable advice to those folks for, what would perceive to be on a per person basis, a lot less money? Does that make my financial planning practice less valuable as a result? And I hear fiduciary status under ERISA is pretty intense. All valid. But the opportunities that you could be missing, one, adding value for your business owner clients. Two, the ability to build trust with employees at their organizations, which creates goodwill, which can lead to potential referral opportunities, and then also boosts loyalty to your client's company and retirement. So there is a lot of opportunity here. And just to give you a framework, an idea of the sort of conversations we have, the structure with which we provide education is what I call our key 3 questions framework. This applies for group education meetings. This applies for one-on-one meetings. And as the name suggests, it revolves around 3 key questions, right? 1, how much should I be saving for retirement? And the information I'm putting up on here is like literally the information I put on slides. So you can take a screenshot, you can take it, copy and paste this if you want. That's totally fine. This part, we're talking about the importance of getting your match, increasing how much you save over time, and some long-term benchmarks and targets to hit. Then we talk about how to save from a tax perspective inside of the plan, talking about the difference between pre-tax and Roth contributions. You would be shocked how many people don't understand the difference between a Roth IRA and a Roth 401k. These are really important differentiation points that an individual employee doesn't know. So you can talk at a high level about what are the trade-offs, and that in many cases you can do a combination of both inside of your 401k. Then, what investment strategies should you consider? Do you want to do this on your own? Do it yourself. Do you want to reach out to an advisor for help? Do you want to use a target date fund? If you're using Betterment's professionally managed portfolios, you can talk about that. But these 3 questions can really give you a framework for providing education at scale and serve as the backbone for individual one-on-one conversations. Because this is effectively 90% of what you're generally going to talk about in a 401k meeting anyway. Okay? Now, this serves as a useful framework. What I'd like to do is walk you through an example of where these frameworks fall short. So I'm using Joe Dirt as our inspiration for this example. But let's start with what on the surface is a very simple question that has a lot of answers that could go in. Spencer, how much should I be saving for retirement? I'm a little bit stressed, money feels kind of tight, but I know retirement's important. How much should I save? We can use this key 3 questions framework, right? Are you getting your full match? Do you have automatic increases set up in your 401k? Try to save 10% or more. That's all fine. And it's accurate. It's good advice. It's good for education at scale. I would make the argument this framework, it's what's best for everyone, but it's not what is best for any one person, right? It's not personalized enough. And this is where elements can become a really crucial tool in your toolbox, okay? So in this example, I send Joe a quick link to Elements. He creates his account. He enters in some of his basic financial data, and then he gets a scorecard. Now, you don't need to know the exact nuances of the scorecard and how it works. Abby will walk through that in a few minutes. But the way I always tee this up, Elements describes this as financial vital signs. I like to use road trip and car analogies, even in my planning practice. So I kind of tee this up as this is kind of like the dashboard of your car, right? All we're trying to get an idea of is how is the machine running? How fast am I going? What's my RPMs? How much gas do I have left in the tank? What's my oil life at? It's a high level overview is the machine functioning? But if something is off, my tire pressure gauge goes off, my check engine light goes on, okay, now I have a signal that I need to dive a little bit deeper into the owner's manual to figure out what's going on. And Elements gives you the ability to do that. So if I only have the 401k data, I can only use the key 3 questions framework. I don't really have enough. With Elements, I can say, all right, Joe, we're going to focus on a few of these scorecards or a few of these sections of your scorecard. The first thing I would point you to is the bottom row. The orange box and the purple box are how much money you have in cash and retirement accounts. This is a way to understand your financial runway. So what this tells you is with the money you have, how many years could you spend those accounts down to 0? What do you notice? And Joe would probably make some observation along the lines of, well, the orange box seems pretty low. And I would agree. What that number would tell you is that for Joe, he can last a month or 2 months on what he has in cash, okay? His retirement accounts, on the other hand, look pretty good. He has like 7.5 years worth of spending there. So despite the fact that his net worth looks great, he's able to save a decent amount of money, he's still stressed because he doesn't have the balance of cash that he needs. Maybe we do want to go a little bit farther and we can say, all right, you're saving 14% of your pay. That looks pretty good. Let's figure out where that money's actually going. It turns out Joe's saving $100 a month into his checking account and $750 a month into his 401k. That's pretty substantial. You're talking 12% of his pay for retirement. That's great. He's hit all of the key 3 questions, but it maybe sends a signal for how we can give more personalized advice to him. Flip over to the debt rate side. Joe's got a mortgage, but he also turns out has a credit card that he's carrying a $7,000 balance on. And he's only paying $180 a month on it. It's not uncommon for credit card interest rates to be 25% right now. So instead of us just saying, hey, Joe, get your full match, save 10% a year, and you'll be fine. We can now use his actual data to say, you know what? Maybe you should cut back on your 401k contributions a bit. Or maybe you might want to consider opting out entirely and focus on getting your liquid term score to 0.3, which would represent 3 months of expenses in cash, kind of that conventional emergency fund. And then you take your excess savings and you apply it straight to that credit card and get that paid down as fast as you can. And then once that's done, you can come back and keep putting more money in cash or put money back into your retirement account. Okay. So this is just a simple example of how, with a little bit of additional detail, you can provide a lot more personalized advice. And in my experience, the most important part of this and the most valuable part of this is that I am perceived as the 401k guy. He came in here to talk about the 401k, and he made the recommendation that I actually save less for retirement to hit on these other points of stress. And that is something that builds a lot of trust with retirement plan participants, okay? In many cases, these are folks that aren't making a ton of money. They're not going to have the ability to hire you in a one-on-one capacity, but they do need guidance and they need help. And this is a way that you can create a meaningful impact on someone's financial trajectory in as short as 20 minutes, and they're the ones that are giving you all the data, okay? So We have 250 retirement plans. We have 20,000 participants. There are days when we're running one-on-one meetings that we could have 16 people a day that are meeting with us. What that means is we have to leverage technology and our CRM system to be able to keep track of all of this. So how does this work? Well, we do all of our scheduling through Calendly, okay? Set up a link specific to their company plan, set a date, people sign up, they can cancel, reschedule on their own. HR people love this because they no longer need to manage a sign-up sheet. You're doing all of it for them. They get automated reminders. I put our key 3 questions video content, and I basically make them check a box that says, yes, I'm gonna watch this before we meet. Okay, so you can automate all of that. We then have a Zapier integration that when someone signs up, it triggers a create a contact inside of Wealthbox, which just creates a shell for them. What's their name? What's their email? What's their phone number? It builds the shell. Then we run the meeting. Could be in person, could be over Teams or Zoom. This is really crucial. You're going to want to use a meeting note taker. Okay. We use Jump AI. That's the solution we've implemented. Others will work here. Wealthbox is coming out with a note-taking option in the not too distant future. So having some way to record and transcribe, and in that Calendly sign up, just have a checkbox that says, I consent to have a note taker there. You basically have to get that anyway. So just have them acknowledge it when they sign up. Okay. We run the meeting. We go through this element scorecard. We have this process. Then we just extract those notes directly into Wealthbox. Your follow-ups are created for you. Your tasks are stored. And then for all future meetings, you have this note here. And in my experience, it's the smallest details that make the biggest impact. Not dissimilar to what your financial planning business looks like, right? It's not the, hey, here's a full recap of what we talked about, but it's like, hey, you mentioned you were taking a trip to Florida. How was it? You know, the last time we talked. It's those small things that really make a big difference. So as we go through this process, we're looking at the other side, and I know this note probably looks super overwhelming, but this is basically automated through Jump, you know, this whole template. What did we talk about? What were the personal goals that they had articulated? What were the questions they asked? What were my recommendations? What were the next steps? What did they have to do? What is their financial planning data? Not to mention the information you now have in Elements that you can tap into. So Joe is psyched, right? He just had a really meaningful conversation where he got advice that was personalized to him. It wasn't a generic rule of thumb or a guideline. It's something that made a meaningful impact on his situation and was tied to his numbers. And that is a really powerful thing. The best part of all of this is, one, it doesn't take that much time. You know, I think people are afraid that when you work with businesses with 100 employees, that they're going to demand full service similar to what your, you know, financial planning clients want. And they don't, right? Occasionally they want to check in on their portfolio. Maybe it's managed through Betterment and you don't really have to have those conversations, right? Maybe it's just a group education meeting or some one-on-ones, but you can do this in a really impactful and scalable way. And the hero in the story is not you. It's not even the end employee. It's the business owner that cared enough about their own staff to provide a trusted advisor like you to come in and provide this really valuable and impactful service. And again, you can build all of that into your pricing in the retirement plan. If the company wants to pay it directly, they can. It can be a tax deductible business expense. You know, Secure Act provided some pretty nice tax incentives for starting up a retirement plan, so you could bill it that way. This can be meaningful advice at a much lower cost than what these folks would be able to access outside of their retirement plan. So as we pull all of this together, we pair all of these vendors together. You know, you, Elements, Wealthbox, Betterment. With better conversations, you get better outcomes, right? Clarity and support for the employees. They have clear action steps, right? They're confident. Employers know that their employees are getting meaningful advice and help from someone that's not trying to sell them a product. and you get to deliver impactful education and advice, right? In a way that's scalable, it's repeatable. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. On the personalization and efficiency front, again, with Elements, employees' advice can be personalized, but it doesn't have to be an hour-long planning conversation. We run our meetings in 20-minute segments. That's all the time you need. Employers love this because they don't have to be responsible for scheduling this stuff anymore, and now they have a resource they can point people to. That makes their lives easier. They're generally wearing 19 different hats anyway. They're happy to outsource these questions. For you, you don't have to do any data entry. When you use Elements, employees enter their own data, or you get the 401k information from Betterment. You're not having to do manual key in entry. And then the technology can handle the logistics, the follow-up, the reminders, and that's where Wealthbox really fits into this equation, okay? The idea here is you are starting to become a trusted resource for these employees. You are not there to sell and push product. That builds likability, that builds trust. And these are awesome reps if you are thinking about bringing on a younger advisor. Low pressure, simple framework, but it gets them in front of people and practice having those conversations, which is, in my opinion, the best way to learn how to do it. So that is my piece. That is how we generally are engaging with participants using these tools. And with that, I will pass it over to Abby, who's going to give you a little bit deeper dive into Elements.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Spencer. That was so great. I love exactly, everything that he was saying, really talking about how you can deliver more value to all of the plan participants that you have, in addition to the business owner. Not only are you serving the business owner, but you're serving his clients as well. And I just think that is so game changing and making, everybody ultimately really happy. So, before I actually dive in, I have a poll. Let's see if this is going to work. Launch poll number 1. Okay. Does everyone see this poll on your side? Maybe Spencer, since you're unmuted,
Yeah, I see it.
you can see it. Okay. If everyone can just let's do like 10 seconds and answer that poll question. Which employer services currently do you offer to your clients? Consulting, a wellness program, both or neither? We just want to get a good understanding as to kind of what type of advisors we have on this webinar today. Okay, I'll end the poll in 3, 2, 1. All right. Okay, we have one more question. Well, I'm going to share the results. Sorry. So we have about 18 people doing 401k. That's awesome. 3%, so one person doing financial wellness program. That's awesome. 25% doing both. Okay, love to hear that. I'm kind of surprised by that. And then half of you participants are doing neither. So hopefully you're here to learn how you can potentially do this in your own practice. Okay, let's go to poll question number 2. So launching that now. The question is, what stage are you at with employer-based financial services? So do you already offer 401k? Are you already offering wellness programs? Do you plan to do it soon? Or maybe you're just kind of in the brainstorming, considering stage, or maybe you're not interested at all. Maybe Andrew or Spencer even persuaded you to look into it a little more. All right. Get your answers in. Give you 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, ending the poll. I'll share the results. So, all right, several of you are already offering 401k services, planning to add them soon, and a lot of you are considering it. So great. Feel like you're in the right place to know, to consider it, to understand what things you should be thinking about. So that's great. Okay, one final question for you guys today. Launch. So this is just a short answer. How many small business owners are in your client base currently? Curious, how easy would it be to start maybe offering a wellness program or start a 401k, right? Obviously you need to have business owner clients. So love to know, maybe what percentage of your client base or how many business owners in total you have. We'll give this one a little more time as well. All of these questions are just questions that Elements as well as Betterment and Wealthbox kind of wanted to understand about who was on this webinar and kind of what your key needs are, so we can be sure to understand and tailor our comments to kind of your unique needs. Okay, we'll end the poll in 3, 2, 1. Okay, this one's a short answer, so we can share the results is that. I assume we see that in the back end. So, okay, thank you so much for answering those poll questions. That really helps. So, as Spencer mentioned, I am the director of customer success at Elements. I'm sharing my screen right now. I just thought it'd be helpful to do kind of a live demo of what you see when you get into Elements. Elements really is a coaching tool, a tool that is allowing advisors to speak to more people in a faster, quicker conversations without having to spend hours and hours of time putting in the data, analyzing the data. With this colorful scorecard that you see right here, I'm actually going to go, this is called our full screen mode. This is a sample client of data that I've put in. An advisor, once they understand how to read this scorecard, can instantly know exactly what the client needs to improve on, what they maybe need to work on. I loved Spencer's example of Joe Durr as to how a generic answer might not have been the right answer for that particular client. And so diving in and understanding what's really behind their data and what's behind maybe the stress that they're having is really helpful to know, and it doesn't take a lot of time. So a quick rundown of the scorecard. Our top row right here helps you understand the risk that is in their life, so their investment risk and their insurance risk. This middle row helps us understand where their income is going. They can save it, they can spend it, they can pay debt, or they can pay taxes. Those are really kind of the 4 key buckets that your income can go, and making for sure that your clients or the participants in the programs that you're running are using their income in the right places. Then the bottom row is really helping them understand where their assets are, right? What mix of assets do they have? So they can have liquid assets, which is like emergency fund, cash on hand, as well as after tax investments, like in a brokerage account outside of retirement. We have their qualified assets or retirement assets, IRAs, 401ks, things like that. Any real estate holdings they have, if they have a business, we can account for that as well. And then this final total term number is really taking their net worth. You can see the calculation right here in this little pop-up. It's their net worth divided by their spending. So each of these numbers on this bottom row is how many years that client can live off of their assets. So Karen and Ahmed here are doing a pretty great job in terms of their emergency fund. They have about half of their annual spending, right? So they spend about $84,000 a year. They have about half of that sitting in liquid type investments that they can use. And then they have about almost 2 years built up into their retirement accounts. So that's kind of ideally how the scorecard is represented here, is just giving you one quick picture view, just a quick other couple things. This is where you can see the full balance sheet for the client. You can understand basically where and dig in and understand further details about the particular client. One other thing that we really love is really diving into like their financial purpose, their goals, and their next steps. So Elements helps you create a very simple and easy one-page plan for each one of your clients by entering in that information. I'm not sure why that's not pulling up, so I will dig into that. Of course, things like that can always go wrong with a live demo. Oh, here it comes, it's loading. So basically you can put in their financial purpose and their goals, and it produces a beautiful one-page financial plan for them. So it's a really nice deliverable to give to them. And then when the clients log in, this is kind of the client side. When you populate that basically one-page plan for them, the client can see it on their side. They see the same thing you see with the scorecard and their net worth graph over time. They see the tasks and goals that you've put in for them so that they can cross them off. They can show you their progress that they've made over time, and they also see their full balance sheet. One last thing to mention is it's super easy for a client to get onboarded into Elements. As Spencer mentioned, clients are in charge of onboarding their own information and maintaining their own data. So you can see right here, this is kind of the onboarding flow and onboarding process that everyone goes through. They can just answer quick step-by-step questions and know exactly, what they need, what data they need to give you to be able to do a quick analysis for them. One last key thing that we've recently built is a new feature. We're calling it smart groups. So let's say you have plans that have 200, 300 participants and you think, how do I manage and can I, really help everybody to a decent level, right? That's a lot of information to go through. We've created what's called smart groups. So everyone basically is categorized into these different groups. Critical are people, right, who don't have any cash on hand, their debt rates may be really high, they're not saving any money, all the way up into someone who's secure. This is also a great way for you to know what participants in the plan might be able to afford or be ready for your wealth management services. And so it's a great way that you can kind of pull people up into other categories within your service model and serve them in a really easy way. If you guys are interested in learning more about Elements, I'll put a link in the chat. You guys can sign up for a demo. We'd love to be able to go into more details with you specifically. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have in the chat. We also have a Q&A at the end that we can follow up there. All right. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Allison from Betterment.
Great. Thanks, Abby. Okay, so I will go ahead and share my screen here to do a quick tour of the Betterment dashboard, which Andrew and Spencer talked a bit about already. So essentially, this is the advisor dashboard that you're looking at. It's the central place where you log in to manage client accounts on the Betterment platform across both wealth and retirement. So we offer a vertically integrated custodial platform for advisors and also a 401k platform, and that's all located within the same dashboard. So for today, I'll just focus on the 401k tab here, where you can see at a high level your total 401k assets on the platform, projected annual revenue, and number of participants. And then unique to the Betterment platform, you're also able to see any participants from plans who you have cross-sold to be wealth management clients of your firm as well. So we make it really easy to invite those participants to become clients of your firm on an individual level and open up additional accounts outside of the 401k. Here you can see the list of plans that you manage, and if you click into a specific plan, you're able to see a variety of metrics at the plan level across the top, as well as other plan level reporting. So on the investment options, as Andrew mentioned earlier, Betterment can serve as the 338 and manage all of the investment options for you, or you as the advisor can serve as the 338 and curate a fund menu, which then participants can choose from for their specific 401ks. You also have all the necessary documents. Betterment handles the compliance and record keeping, and then reports that you can run to dig deeper into plan stats. And then lastly, if you pull up the participants page, you can search for specific participants. You can filter by employment status or age group if you want to work on education and outreach based on a specific age group. And then you can also dive into a specific participant's page to see all of the details about their 401k. So if you're going in to do education and engagement and financial wellness checks, this is a way to just quickly see what's going on with each person's 401k, how it's invested. And then, like I mentioned, you have this cool feature to invite participants to become wealth management clients of your firm. So essentially, this would create a specific email link, which would then allow them to sign off on your agreements digitally and become a wealth management client after signing your advisory agreement. And then you're able to really seamlessly manage investments outside of the 401k, whether it's IRAs or taxable accounts or our cash management offering. You can give them kind of a wide range of options if that is, what is valuable to them coming out of all of your engagements with them. So like Abby said, we'd also love to do a demo. There's a lot more here we can dive into. And we can also, I know there have been some questions about pricing. We can provide specific proposals and quotes as needed. If you want to talk about plans, please reach out to our team and we would love to help. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Chris for WealthBox.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll go ahead and pull up my screen. So hello, everyone. My name is Chris Kapansky, head of customer education here at WealthBox. For anyone not familiar with WealthBox, WealthBox is the #1 rated CRM for financial advisors, known for its ease of use and high adoption. If you would like to check out and kind of see why so many advisors like Andrew and Spencer love WealthBox, head over to wealthbox.com and you could click on book a demo to learn more. So I wanted to cover a couple of different things here. Andrew had mentioned using tags in WealthBox to pull up those quick lists, and Andrew had talked about leveraging some of the third-party integrations like Zapier, Jump AI to house everything in the CRM with automations. And Spencer, thank you for the shout out on the AI meeting assistant. We're all very excited about it. Definitely look out for more info coming this summer. So I wanted to share one other feature that is very powerful in a CRM, and it has to do with standardization, consistency, and process tracking. Workflows in WealthBox will allow you to really outline your process from A through Z, whether it be the outreach to companies that you're wanting to implement a 401k plan for, the onboarding of new employees that you're adding on as a client, or even on the tail end once the clients are ready to retire. Andrew and Spencer talked about the first two examples of kind of selling into these companies and onboarding brand new clients. I want to talk about that third example and tracking the retirement of a client. And keep in mind, this is just an example of a retirement workflow. You could apply this type of standardization to really any part of that process. So I'll click into this workflow that I created just for this presentation. Looking at this retirement workflow, we'll look through some examples that you can incorporate into your processes, into your workflows to be as efficient as possible. So in this retirement workflow, the way that I've built it out, I have my first step asking me to essentially go through a discovery and retirement readiness step. And what I wanted to highlight here is the use of subtasks, which effectively allows me to add separate to-dos that would appear separately within your tasks list and can be completed in any order. The idea of these subtasks is to essentially add this checklist to the process that doesn't necessarily depend on other parts of that process. Now, when I do go ahead and complete that step, keep in mind those subtasks don't actually need to be completed. So it's a great place to track a guide of what you maybe should be doing, but it doesn't really affect the rest of that process. So let's go ahead and move on to step 2 here. I went ahead and completed that step. You'll see a couple of other examples of outcomes here. So outcomes in WealthBox allows you to add conditional logic to your processes, since we never really know how your conversations will go with the client, whether it's based on how they want to proceed with their retirement, or even a confirmation on whether they actually did what you asked them to do, sending you some documents. I'll go ahead and complete this step. And because I have outcomes, I'm asked to choose what happened. Based on the choice that I make here, that workflow will react in a different way, such as going back to a previous step, skipping certain steps, or just restarting that step for me all the way to that kind of initial process again. So I'll go ahead and go through and say I've completed this, I received my documents, and I'll go through a couple other steps. So we'll go ahead and complete the review. We'll go through the strategy step as well, and I'll move on until we get to step 8 here. In step 8, I wanted to talk about a different capability that you can incorporate into your processes in WealthBox, and that is workflow actions. So this actually allowed me to build in an email template into that workflow so I can have that email asking the client to schedule that meeting ready to go. I could go ahead and click on the email scheduling link button, and using the built-in WealthBox mail feature, that email will be pre-filled, ready to go to my client. I could go ahead and send it out and complete that step to move on to the final step of my process here. And finally, the last piece I wanted to talk about, it is another workflow action, but this one being with the contact form builder feature. It allows us to access certain fields from that contact, all while being in that workflow itself. So Spencer used this example earlier of having Zapier push that shell of a contact over. You can have that workflow process that can effectively prompt you to update certain information as you get it. And within a retirement process, this workflow, I will likely have to update the client's job title. This is just a very quick example that I wanted to showcase. I could go ahead and click on this button, and that'll prompt me with the fields that I built into this workflow. In this example, I have company information. If I wanted to keep this client related to the company, I could just go ahead and update the job title here to retired. and I could just review email addresses that I have for the client and really any other information. But now as I hit save, that change will happen on the contact record page itself. And once I complete that step, that workflow is complete. So now it's over. Now I could go on to setting up that regular annual review with the client if I needed to for their 401k distributions. So that was a very quick example of just a couple features that we could leverage within workflows to help us be as efficient as possible when selling into onboarding or when we're ready for a 401k distribution. And if that did seem like a lot, we do have pre-built workflow libraries as well. If you head over to your workflows, if you're already on Wealthbox, you could click into Manage Templates at the top right, and you'll find some workflow templates that we've built in-house under our workflow library, as well as some of our other integration partners as well. If you're interested in building workflows and you're not sure where to start, we're always happy to help you build out a process that will work best for you as well by clicking on this question mark icon and reaching out to the team. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand it off to Madeline for our Q&A session.
Wonderful. Thanks, Chris. It actually looks like we answered majority of the questions, but I will give it a minute and see if anybody has any last minute questions they would like to put in the Q&A feature. I also will be putting here in the chat. Again, don't forget to book a demo with Betterment, Advisor Solutions, Elements, and Wealthbox. If you are not an XYPN member and you are interested in membership, I will also put that link to schedule a call with one of our teammates as well. And then there will be a brief survey at the end of the webinar. We would really appreciate your feedback. If you could take a minute just to submit those. It looks like there are not any last minute questions. So again, everybody, Allison, Abby, Spencer, Andrew, and Chris, thank you all again so much for today's webinar. This was a really great discussion regarding 401k plans, and we really, really appreciate your time. So again, don't forget to book your demos and fill out the survey.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.